Now everyone, Matt Haywood from StarWarsTime.net to bring you the first Easter egg in Star Wars franchise recap of 2019. That's right, Star Wars Resistance is back, my friends. We had the first episode of the mid-season return, debuted last night. It's Season 1, Episode 12, and it was titled Bibo. I definitely had to stretch a bit on some of the Easter eggs and franchise references, but, you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. A few of them are just sounds we've heard in the Star Wars franchise before. One is a direct reference, so an Easter egg, but let's just get down to it. So without further ado, here are the 5 Easter egg / franchise references from the latest episode of Star Wars Resistance. Alright, so up first we have the only direct, straight-up Easter egg of the episode, and that's when Sonara, again the pirate that Kaz and Poe saved, who now works as a salvager, pulled up a Clone Wars era Z-95 starfighter, which Kaz actually knew what it was. I mean, so he's kind of flexing his Navy history there, but as you can see, these were first featured in the Clone Wars animated series. They were for clone pilots only. They were kind of the precursors for the X-Wings. So, like I said, this is the most direct Easter egg we got in Bibo, and that is the uncovering of a Clone Wars era Z-95 starfighter. Alright, so next up I had to get a little creative here, and really for the rest of the references I'm going to mention, there's a little creativity involved. But these Colossus security droids, when they open fire, their guns, and they're even mounted on their arms, sound just like B-2 battle droids from the Clone Wars era. So like I said, I know it's a bit of a stretch, but the Colossus is under attack. These things go into attack mode, and once they start firing, their arm lasers sound just like the B-2 battle droids, which, as I said, also fired their lasers from their arms. So, hey, a stretch, but I think it matches. And continuing on with audio references from the Star Wars franchise, when Kaz and Sonara return back to the Colossus after running into the big monster that's coming to attack them, Kaz points out that the Colossus has a pirate alarm, which Sonara notes, I might add. But when they pull the pirate alarm, it sounds just like the warning alarm when the Death Star is under attack in A New Hope from the Rebel Alliance. So, like I said, we're keeping on with the stretches here. I'm getting a little creative, using the imagination. But I do believe these auditory references do line up with moments from the original trilogy, or in the case of the last one, the prequel trilogy. Hey, guess what? For number 4, we have another auditory reference. So, this big sea monster thing's attacking the Colossus. The Aces get dispatched to attack it. And eventually, Doza gives the green light to hype Phazon, who seems to be the leader of the Aces, to use missiles on the monster. And I noticed once they started firing the missiles that the missiles sounded just like a Naboo starfighter shooting its missiles, which I kind of remembered from the Phantom Menace when when Anakin is in the belly of the Trade Federation starship and he blows it up with the Naboo starfighter's torpedoes. So definitely sounds exactly the same. So hey, we have another auditory reference success. And last but not least, we have a visual reference, this time to the ending of Empire Strikes Back and its iconic final frame, which features Luke and Leia kind of embracing, standing next to the droids, looking out into the galaxy with a little bit of chagrin. You know, they just got their butts kicked by Vader. Han's been taken to Jabba. But we kind of get a very similarly recreated moment at the end of this episode. So there we go. That's it, people. Those are your Easter eggs and, well, I guess for this episode, your auditory references from the Star Wars franchise for the latest episode of Star Wars Resistance, which was titled Bibo. Again, this was Season 1, Episode 12, the first episode of its mid-season premiere. So make sure to stay tuned for our recap and review of Bibo, which will be releasing next. Thanks for watching. This is Matt Haywood for StarWarsTime.net and the Star Wars Time Show podcasts, because there's always time for Star Wars time.